Today I'm building a mobile base for my planer stand. This will be a modified version of one I first saw over at Busted Knuckles Woodworks that I've since found similar versions on several different YouTube channels. I've got my planer tucked back in here between the RAS and my cyclone separator. It's out of the way where it is, but when I want to use it, I need to bring it out about 3 feet away from the wall, and it's not easy to drag it across the concrete. With it being tucked in like it is, I need to be able to activate all 4 wheels with 1 foot. Conventional kick-down casters won't work well because they would need to be on the outside of the stand, and out here they would cause a trip hazard, and I can't put them on the other side because the stand has to be as close to the wall as I can get it. Where it is right now, when I put a board against the fence of the RAS, I've only got about 1/4 inch of clearance to keep from hitting the planer, and it's as close to the wall as I can get it, so nothing can go on the other side. And my mobile base is going to have to be contained underneath the table. I had to take the planer off the stand so I could flip it over and access the bottom. Get ready to cut up my improvised router sled and turn it into the mobile base. In order to get consistent spacing on my bolt holes, I'm using a 3/4 inch wrench and a bolt with a nut on it. And then just tapping it with a hammer. I pre-drilled the holes in all the caster housings. Now I'm going to clamp these in place and drill the hole into the stand using the housing hole as a guide. I've got my positions marked all the way around. I made these housings where they would be an inch shorter than the wheel. The height of the housing is dead in line with the axle on the wheel. I want the wheels to drop 1/2 inch below the stand, so that allows me to put the housing 1/2 inch down from the base. That'll give me enough room when this pivots so the corner won't come up and hit the floor. And it should give me a consistent height of my wheels all the way around. I'm using a backing block to try to prevent tear out on the back side of my stand. Drill needs to be going forward, not reverse. Okay, I can't clear the housing, but I've got enough of the hole started that I can finish it out. need a washer as a spacer, but I may have to trim the inside of this board down. It's sticking out a little bit, and the house is probably going to hang on it. Actually, I think it's not going to drag, so. As soon as I started this build, my plan flew straight out the window. I realized I didn't have enough distance to do it the way I wanted to. So what I've decided is I've got this platform in here that will work both sets of wheels. It will bring them up high enough and still let them drop down low enough where they'll clear. I put me a fulcrum here and hinged this piece to it. I'm getting ready to install 2 eye bolts into this piece that I'll bolt to the lever in order to lower and raise this actuator part. I've just got a hinge on here right now, mainly for testing. Getting ready to, I'm going to drill a hole through this piece and put a pin in or a bolt and make some bearing blocks to attach to this, because this hinge is kind of flimsy and the screws are really small, and I feel like they would probably tear out if I put any significant stress on them. Now that should keep everything in place. I guess it matters if it moves a little bit. I think my compressor has a little bit of a leak. Yeah, alright. Well, these are the guide blocks. Seem like they're going to work. I'm going to shoot a couple more staples in before I put the screws in. I've already shot my support boards on once, but I realized I need to move them. I thought I could use them to give me extra distance to bring the casters dead in line where I want them. I beveled both pieces, but they still won't slide past each other well enough, so I'm just going to put them back out of the way. I'm going to glue some wedges in place to help bring the wheels to the point where they need to be, so they'll be low enough when I kick my lever all the way down. As it stands, this board is as high as I can go with it without having to reposition the wheels in further and making the bench more unstable. I want them out as far as I can get them. And if I bring this up any higher and put them where I want them, then they're going to be touching the ground always. They won't drop back down far enough or come up far enough. Looking at the bench upside down is kind of confusing, but so anyway, by adding these wedges, they won't interfere with the caster housings dropping all the way down to the board, but they'll add a little extra lift. Okay, I think that will work. Let that dry for a little while. Round up what I need to make the latch. Grab some lunch. I think I may have forgotten it this time. I've assembled this thing and disassembled it a few times and tweaked it. I had to add some extra wedges on this side because these wheels were not coming out far enough. But I think that's going to do the trick now. I've got my latch on. So I'm going to hook this back up and get it flipped over. See if I got it this time. Okay, before I put this thing back in place, I'm going to put a bolt through here to act as a stop for my lever. I've got to take the lever off and drill it. Now I've got to cut out the top. Cut it at an angle so the bolt won't bind. I don't use my miter saw often, but I do use it. That will work. We'll see. Yeah, not quite deep enough. Alright, well, everything on this project is taking tweaking, so no big deal. I do occasionally use hand tools, try to avoid them as much as possible, but sometimes it's just necessary. Rather than remake my latch, I'm just going to add a piece onto it to give me more leverage. I'm going to drill a couple holes and just bolt this on. Using a slightly larger bit for the holes in the second piece to help mitigate any misalignment. Well, that's the idea. I might have to scrounge up a longer screw for that top one anyway. Maybe both of them. Let's see what I can find. The mobile base is installed and working well. Activates with 1 foot. Rolls easy enough. Wheels are down far enough, it's clearing the floor. The extended kick lever lets me use 1 foot to deactivate it. I think it's exactly what I need. Turned out way more complicated than I wanted it to be, but it works, so I can't complain too much. I'd hoped to make it with fewer parts, but most everything I used was scrap and leftover pieces I already had around. It's mostly plywood, a handful of bolts, 4 casters, a little bit of angle iron. This is an old screen door spring that I never used. I just had lying around. It was simple enough to cut it off with some wire cutters and adapt it to my latch. This will allow me to keep my planer over here out of the way and easily pull it out where I can use it when I need it. So all in all, I'm pleased with how it turned out. I am calling this project done.